Hello chaps and chapettes, how's it going? Screezilla here, and I hope you're all well, and welcome to World of Warships, where today we are playing the Yūgumo Class Destroyer, the Tier 9 Japanese regular tech tree torpedo destroyer. In this game we've got 3 destroyers, an aircraft carrier, and a fair few battleships to fight against, which it can be pretty tricky sometimes. Of course, the aircraft carrier menace in a destroyer can be very, very deadly. But if you play your cards right, you can actually work it out quite well. So in this match, first of all, I'm trying to work out where the aircraft carrier is. That's a big thing in the game, is to try and work out where the aircraft are going to go. So I'm expecting, seeing most of my team is over near A and B, that we're probably going to have aircraft over this area, so I'm thinking about going towards C and scouting that out, when all of a sudden I see a plane, and that's a lot of nope. Planes basically are death in a destroyer, especially Japanese destroyers, as they've not got the greatest anti-aircraft, especially the Yūgumo Class, as it does lack a little bit of anti-aircraft defense. The gunboat variants of the Japanese destroyers do have a little bit better anti-aircraft defense, but even so, CVs can be an absolute nightmare. This is, of course, a match post-captain update as well, so we've got all the new captain skills in progress here. But I'm looking at the map and I'm thinking, okay, well, it seems everybody's going for A and B, so that means that's going to attract the most aircraft. So it's probably a good idea not to come for these. So I'm going to launch a couple of stealth torpedoes here just to see what happens, really, just in case, you know, you get somebody blundering by. And I've decided to go and head towards C. Now, in this matchup, I'm actually trying to get spotting damage. That's my main goal of the actual expedition, because I'm currently trying to get Irakuse Yamamoto as my... I pronounced that wrong. I pronounced his first name wrong. I know I have. And I'm trying to think how I pronounced it wrong, but I'm just going to go Yamamoto as my captain. I'm trying to go down the quest to get him as captain. So we've got a Neptune to the left of us, and a few aircraft coming in from the Saipan. Of course, American CV can be a little bit dangerous. We put our AA on, we shoot at a couple of planes, get a little bit of plane damage. We do get spotted in the process, of course, and then switch our guns back off again. We can see there's some torpedoes coming in, so there's obviously a destroyer over near C. So again, just keeping an eye out on what's going on. C's being capped at the moment, so there is probably a destroyer in C. So just having a bit of a look around. We've got the Jutland over there, and there's the Pomeran, the German battleship, the premium battleship over there as well. Now, the Yūgumo class was a improvement over the Kagero class, and was started to be built in about 1940s. The last sort of commission, I think, was the 45. 19 were built and 19 were lost. These were basically the pride of the first sort of destroyer fleet. They were going to be the main escort destroyers. That was going to be their sort of job. Lead destroyers, basically. Flotilla leaders. And they were relatively good ships. They were a bit heavier and a bit longer than the Kagero. But they were designed in a way to be quite quick, of course, and also carry a good amount of torpedoes on them. Now, the ships did vary a little bit in their designs, because each there was 3 competing shipyards building them at the time, and each shipyard had a different sort of method of building them, so they did differ slightly in some of their armament layouts, but the majority of them were basically the same, so there wasn't too much difference between them. And that, of course, being, if we go over to the thingo, The main guns, just actually go over to that one because I forgot to do it and I clicked on the wrong thing because I'm an idiot. The 127mm main guns, 25mm anti-aircraft guns, and they were dual-purpose main guns as well. So we've launched a couple of those torpedoes at the Pomeranian and the King George as well. There's a Shirahitsu over there, and there's a Yūgumo over in the other spawn. So a couple of very dangerous torpedo destroyers, but the Pomeranian is pretty much sailing in a straight line at the moment, as a stupid battleship captain does. So it looks like we're going to get a couple of good torpedo hits here. We might get 1 and 2. Looks like it's going to be 2. No, just the 1, unfortunately. And torpedoes are coming in from the enemy as well. So we'll just steer slightly to avoid them, because we do not want to go hitting a torpedo. Not a good idea. That's how most of the Yūgumo class were lost, in fact, was torpedo strikes. Now, this ship is predominantly a torpedo boat. It works very well in its torpedo launching role, and you can of course take it out with torpedo rearmament as a option rather than smokescreen, and it is actually a viable option with this ship. I've found sort of in the matches I've played and subsequent matches I've played since this game as well that I don't use the smoke too often in this boat because it's got a relatively good detection range. You can see that's just how small that detection range is on the actual ship, and these torpedoes are actually looking very, very good indeed. You can just see on the Pomeranian there that those are looking extremely good, and we get a huge amount of damage as well as flooding. Now, we caused flooding beforehand, remember, with that single hit, and he did use his damage control. So the guy's used his damage control already, and that means we have got a kill. So that is 1 battleship destroyed, 62,000 damage caused on that 1 ship alone with 3 torpedoes. Enemy Yūgumo there, just coming in. Get our guns on site. I'm actually going to launch a couple of shots out to try and hit it because it is a priority target. Of course, we are exposing ourselves a little bit here, which is never a great idea because people do tend to like to shoot at destroyers. So if we actually look at our detectability range, you can see that we have got a very small detectability range of 5.5 kilometers on the sea, 7.5 kilometers with when on fire, and 10.9 kilometers when our guns are firing. So you know we've got a very good, good sneaky skill basically. Now that King George is starting to slow down a little bit to try and avoid those torpedoes. Just keeping an eye on that King George at the moment, and going to launch probably some torpedoes out here to try and take advantage of it. We'll see if these actually work. Just sort of watching the torpedo, the sort of torpedo line and working out where it's going to go. Decide against launching torpedoes because the CV's launched on that King George already. That means it's going to change direction. So, you know, it's not really worth doing it. Plus, the King George is going away from us at the moment. However, there's an Ibuki there as well. So, again, we're sort of in a relatively good position at the moment. Now, for my mission for Yamamoto, I need to get 40,000 spotting damage, and that's really what I'm trying to do in this match. I'm not actually going for kills. If an opportunity is there, then I will take it, but I'm basically just going for the spotting damage as it stands. And you can see the spotting damage is creeping up very quickly right now as we spot this King George. So we're going to launch some torpedoes because he started to come across the channel there, across sea, coming across broadside as well. So there's a good chance that we will get some shots on them. And there was also that Ibuki as well coming in too. So I'm going to launch those torpedoes there and see what actually happens with this one. Now, I must say, I've actually been really enjoying the Japanese destroyer line. We've hit our 40,000 damage mark, so job is done. We've actually got that damage mark we need, so now we can actually just start focusing on having a bit of fun. So that King George is still travelling across there, and if we have a little look at the torpedoes, getting some okay shots. Looks like we might actually get a couple on this King George. Gonna get them right on the bow, get one hit, and that's all. But we still get a hit, so that's something. So that's some extra damage we've managed to do to that King George. And it's also another flood caused as well, so that guy's used damage control once more. So again, if somebody shoots at it with HE, then it's going to be into some trouble. Now, as I said, all the Yūgumo classes were lost in the war. Not because it was a bad ship, though. The Yūgumo class was a decent destroyer, especially for the time. It just really suffered the Imperial Japanese Navy's wrong place, wrong time situations. So we just see some more torpedoes coming in on that King George, and just keeping an eye on things at the moment. Again, just building up that spotting damage. Unfortunately, don't get a lot of reward for spotting damage. Now, right here, I noticed that we're very close to aircraft, and I've also spotted an aircraft carrier. This is a curse and a blessing, because CVs can be quite dangerous. So we're going to launch our torpedoes off in that channel, because, well, there's a CV coming towards it. But that also means that there are going to be aircraft. So we need to try and not get spotted. If we get spotted, we are up. We are up, basically up Poop Creek without a paddle. So, torpedo-wise, we're actually looking relatively good on the torpedoes as they go. So we get 2 hits on that aircraft carrier. Now it's trying to guess what the CV is going to do. So that CV knows that we're close by. So it's going to start looking for us. But we can now use this island as a bit of an advantage, because the planes aren't going to spot us behind it. So I decided to start reversing up here. I just get that feeling that maybe that CV has changed course, because I think it would be expecting me to come through the channel. Now, it would be really nice if somebody could spot that CV for me, but obviously it's not happening. And that CV is busy trying to spot us as well. But as you can see, the sneakiness is really coming into effect here, because aircraft detectability range is only 2.5 kilometers. So we're able to basically hide. So what we really need to be careful of right now is being spotted by proximity, and that would be if the CV is pretty close to us. Now we're reversing at the moment, so we're not going at full speed, and we've been detected, and there is a CV. So we've got our guns on position, so time to start shooting. So the thing about the Japanese destroyers is they're not known for their guns, but when you're in a position like this, your guns become very useful. And as you can see, that is the end of a Japanese carrier. Sorry, the American carrier even. It's the end of the Saipan. They does get some rockets off at us. We've used our engine boost to try and get the heck out of dodge. And it's coming around with another salvo from the rockets. So we're going to be detected. Now luckily, this guy is annoyed and is going to shoot us with the rockets, rather than keeping us spotted. So those planes are going to disappear, and we're going to get out of spotting, which means that we've got a Colorado near us. And this Colorado's decided to sail in a straight line with a new Yūgumo destroyer, basically within spitting distance of it, which is a really bad idea. As ideas go, this is up there with, you know, with the worst ideas you can have. And as you can see, with those torpedoes, they're going pretty much on target with the Colorado, and he's turning in, he's doing the right thing that you can do, but going to take a couple of torpedoes. So it takes 2 torpedoes, and that has really caused some damage. The Colorado as well is not a fast battleship, of course. Now, Colorado's coming in at us, and I don't really want to get caught up in its secondary battery, or really its main battery. So I'm going to get around this island and sort of get into a fairly safe spot. So going to go back to spotting it as well. So we just move a little bit so we can see it a little bit. But we're going to go around the corner of this island, so we've got a better chance of spotting this guy without it coming close by. Luckily, our friendly CV is doing a good job and coming in as well. So we're going to get around this island, and this is going to keep that Colorado spotted now, and that is going to ruin this Colorado's day. The other thing that's going to ruin this Colorado's day is the fact that, again, sailing in a straight line with a Japanese destroyer close by is never a good idea, because, well, look at that torpedo spam in the water. We've got 8 torpedoes heading towards this Colorado at a relatively vast rate of knots, and he's starting to turn to try and get out of the way, but he is getting spotted as well, and that's going to give broadside to some of our friendly ships, so that's going to help them out quite a lot. Now, this guy's done quite a good job of evading the torpedoes, managed to turn away from the torp, so I don't think we get any strikes with the fish on this one. Oh, we're going to get we are going to get some. We are going to get at least one hit, and that's going to get it in there. And luckily, we get a devastating strike. So we actually get a good strike there. That gives us devastating strike and high caliber, and completely writes off an enemy battleship, giving us our 3rd kill and 173,000 damage. The only thing left on the enemy team is 1 single destroyer, and it's pretty much game over from here. A bit of destroyer hunting is a little bit tricky, but I'm going to go and cap C, get the points for that at least, while our enemy, while our friendlies go and try and hunt down this Udaloi, which has just taken out our Musashi. Of course, we're not in a safe spot just yet because of, well, obviously the enemy is still a bit of a risk, but being that we have a distinct numbers advantage, we are pretty safe in our positioning. So we'll just capture the C cap, just to really make sure that we secure the victory, rather than, you know, trying harder to get the victory. Because sometimes, you know, you try harder and it just does not work. It's just, there's no point in trying to win hard, because you're just going to end up losing the match. So we're going to get this cap point secured, and then we'll see if we can do any hunting. Unfortunately, I don't have the gun upgrades yet on the ship. It's not until after this battle that I can afford them, unfortunately. If I did have them, spoilers, then I probably might have been able to get a couple of HE shells off in the distance. But we're going to hit our engine boost anyway and see what we can do. As I said, in that match we used no smoke as well, so could have taken out the torpedo reload booster, and honestly would have probably had a fairly decent match with it. As you can see, we took a bit of damage in that game from the CV, but other than that, we were pretty much safe all game. You know, it's a really fun ship to play in a flanky sort of sneaky position, and trying to get into a good spot for it. So we're going to try and spot this enemy. We can see torpedoes are out, the cargo is there, and there is the enemy destroyer off to our right side, but it's a little bit out of distance, just a little bit too far away for us to get our guns on target, and we're not going to be able to do much from here, unfortunately. So won't be long before this Udaloi is taken down, and we will head to the post-battle screen results page. Okay, so battle over. We ended up with a high caliber there, which is something I don't get too often, as well as devastating strike as well, which is always nice. 500,000, well, just under 500,000 credits. What did we actually earn though? We earned a good 300,000 credits, so not too bad there actually at the end. Nice amount of experience as well, but main thing is nice lot of damage there as well with 3 kills. Very happy about that. Lots of good torpedo strikes that game, and we finished top of the team as well, so even better. It's nice to be the top of the team. We were definitely the MVP of that match. Main thing was the spotting damage we did, because that's what I was actually after, was spotting damage. I wasn't really after actually doing damage myself, but it turned out doing quite well. So we ended up doing 62,000 damage to that Pomeranian, Pomeran. The Saipan ended up getting 47, and the Colorado 45,000 points worth of damage, as well as 18 to the King George, but really annihilated those 3 capital ships there, and that really did help us out with that match. Yeah, very, very useful amount of damage there. The main thing I was actually going for was the this task here to get 4,000 hit points worth of damage upon spotting for the Yamamoto task line. But yeah, all in all, pretty happy with that. Yūgumo, I really like it. I do indeed really like it. Let's just hop back to the port. So tier 9 destroyer, of course, Yūgumo. With the commander rework, of course, I've gone torpedoes. Not full torpedoes though. I have got grease the guns, just so I do actually have some gun movement. Rather than the enhanced flooding, because you tend to get a fair amount of flooding with Japanese torpedoes anyway. Ended up going last stand rather than the swift fish, although once I get 2 extra points I will be getting swift fish. Of course, an extra 5% speed on those torpedoes is deadly. And then of course fill the tubes, obviously that's a no-brainer, and then concealment expert, 10-point captain, so nothing much interesting in that respect. Obviously, equipment wise, we're not running everything at the moment. I have the torpedo mods. That's it. Might as well get the gun mod. Could have been useful with that last match because I could have actually found use for it. But yeah, it's still very stock. But I've got the torpedo modifications, obviously. 15% torpedo reload time, concealment expert. I've got the gears modification as well as torpedo tube modification 1, so torpedo speed, traverse, and risk of them becoming incapacitated, engine room protection, and then main armament protection as well, and running smoke and engine boost. Although didn't use smoke in that match, as you saw. So definitely viable to run the torpedo reload booster could have actually become really useful in that match. Could have been more useful than smoke, arguably. So you don't have to go smoke, but I always like to have smoke just in case. Yūgumo, pretty easy little Japanese torpedo boat, really. Your average torpedo destroyer. Okay guns. And it's got AA defense. You know, it has got AA defense, so that's something, I guess. You know, that's something kind of useful. Yeah, Japanese AA defense, not known for its greatness. Artillery wise as well, you know, the guns aren't great, but they will do in a push. You know, the thing is, guns are there, they can be useful. And the stars of the show, of course, are the torpedoes, quad tubes, 12-kilometer range, 70 knot speed. You know, these things are absolutely devastating, and the damage they do as well, you know, maximum damage of 23,000. Plus, they tend to flood most things, they're pretty decent, and they've got a low spotting range as well, of only 1.7 kilometers, so people find it very hard to dodge them. Of course, the famous, as they were called, long lancers, when they were named after the war, of course, they weren't called that in the Second World War, they were named that afterwards. Let's quickly get a container and just get some more resources. But yeah, I'm really quite enjoying the Yūgumo. It seems to be a really decent little ship. I actually like it more than the Kagero from before. I've had more success in the Yūgumo, being that I've only played 2 games in it, but I've actually got a win in it, whereas the Kagero I've had a few games and never had a win in it, because I'm not that good at destroyers. But it's decent, and I from that match, you know, if I get matches like that again, I'm going to enjoy it quite a bit. It's sort of that destroyer that I like to play, so it'll be interesting to see how we go in that. So yeah, be fun to see, and as I said, mainly got it mainly unlocked it for the Yamamoto task, because, you know, I want to actually be able to unlock Yamamoto at some stage, so shame we didn't have that one running, because we could have almost we could have got that actually filled out that round. But yeah, it's decent. As I said, it is a decent little ship, and it is a fun little ship to play in. So yeah, 100% would recommend going down the line and getting the ship. Of course, you do have the option of the two lines as well, with the Japanese destroyers. You've got the option of the slightly more gun influenced and the torpedo influenced. You know, with the Hagoromo and the Shimikaze at the end, Kitakaze, of course. You know, just a bit better in the sort of general artillery aspects, and of course the AA defense as well. They have much better AA defense, so they can be quite kind of useful in that respect. But depends on your playstyle, of course. Always depends on playstyle, and even with a carrier we saw in that match, things didn't go too badly. So yeah, kind of went all right in that one, didn't it? All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye bye.